Hi, I'm Bailey.
And I'm Rachel.
And we founded the Missoula Makers Collective together.
I applied to be a bartender after doing some healthcare stuff. I wanted more of like a lighthearted job. And then I met you.
Yes.
And you trained me how to bartend.
I did.
But also, we did a lot of not working.
We did a lot of not working.
we sat across from the table. One vivid memory I have is we were sitting across the table from one another, and we were showing each other these sketches of like, here's what this earring could look like, here's what this ring could look like. But then also like, oh, well, I don't know how to sell this. I don't know how to create a website or do XYZ. And Bailey had already done that because she was a little more advanced in her business.
Well, and it was so nice just to have someone to talk to.
Yeah.
Like, period. Because I think I'd felt so alone in doing it, and COVID had like exacerbated the aloneness.
Yeah.
And so it was so nice just to have someone else that was like, I'm doing this, and like, here are the things I'm running into, here are the problems I had, and I was like, oh, I struggled with that. Like, I can tell you how I got through it, or like, I'm still struggling with that and I have no idea what to do.
Yeah.
I think there was a moment where we realized that like having each other was like the most important part of our business at that moment.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, we want to share this with everyone. How do we do that? And that was kind of how the whole idea of the collective was born, which is like, how can we take this like friendship that we have and everything good that has come out of this friendship and make it a system for makers?
Yeah. Yep. That was the vision. Creating the store was one of the ways that we could kind of create that community. Like, we needed a space, we needed to figure out how to fund a space, and then the store was birthed after that model. It wasn't like we created a store and then the community was built. It was very much with that intention.
Because you guys had been doing markets for a while before the store, right?
Yeah, we started doing markets, and that was, we really needed to like build trust with the community, because we as makers had been doing markets for years with the other makers, and so we knew them as like colleagues, but we kind of needed to generate that trust of like, we know how to plan a market, we know what you need, we know what's best, and like we're willing to listen to you, and that like we're able to take our perspective as makers and like create resources that are like actually what you need.
Yeah.
And so markets were the best way to do that.
And it came from a place of like, we weren't like trained. Bailey had experience like running events, but like as far as our background in education, like we weren't really trained in any of this. It was more so us just being like, what do we need as people who are selling our things? How would we want to be treated? How would we want a market to go? Even in the struggles, like the sting isn't as hard when you have other people to be experiencing it with.
Well, and I think it's kind of the main part of every single thing that we do. It's, it's the makers meetings, it's the pop-ups, it's the market, it's the store, like putting all of us together, gives that opportunity for collaboration. And most of us are selling online. So if you're not selling in markets and you're not selling in a physical store, like when do you really meet other people? I have done markets all over the state and some out of state even, and there's not a single place where I've ever felt like my products and my work and my sales reflected as much like love for handmade as is in Missoula. It's not even comparable. Yeah, there's no place I've ever been to in Montana or anywhere else that has like the same desire to shop handmade, the support, who will show up, who like understands it, who wants to understand it, and then just like also the like community character is so based in like the artists that are here, and I think the community recognizes that, and that's really special.
Yeah. Growing up in Missoula, I've traveled away, and I didn't realize how lucky I was after traveling around a little bit and coming back and being like, wow, like everyone says like get out of your hometown, but the reality is that I was like born in a very, very unique place, and that's something you can't find anywhere else. And everyone says that about their hometown, but I feel like my opinion is the most valid.
I feel like the customers are way more inquisitive here. Like they're curious about your work, they're curious about your process.
Yes.
And that's an experience I haven't had until I got to Missoula.
Yeah, you're totally right. It's more than like
validating.
Yes, and it's more than handmade. People are interested in handmade, not to just say, oh, I have a handmade thing. It's more so they're connected to the artist in a different way.
There's kind of like a community ethic, I think, in Missoula too, that's like palpable. Supporting handmade, supporting artists, supporting local, like is all a big part of that ethic.
Being a maker and selling my own stuff, like you were saying, how it's like an extension of you and it means more because you made it. So I think that translates to being on the other end, being a customer. I love watching like process videos of artists who explain like how they're making and just showing you why it's better than, you know, like fast consumerism.
Such a good point too. With markets specifically, you can see that interaction. How often can you go and buy something from somebody that's not handmade, where you get to see the person who made it and talk about why they made it or the specific details that make the piece so unique? And that's like specifically why markets are such a cool cultural experience. Specifically, when you buy a handmade item, you're purchasing an extension of somebody else. You're like, quite literally, they made it with their two hands, from their brain, from their hearts. And so when you have that in your possession, you're not only, you know, experiencing something really neat for yourself, but you're giving somebody the ability to continue to do what they love, possibly support their family and themselves.
Yep.
And so it's a lot more than buying an item just to have an item.
Yes. What does women entrepreneurs' financial autonomy mean for the sustainable and like responsible development of a town? Missoula is facing, you know, like an incredible boom in population and amenities. And so what does that look like when we're empowering women through financial autonomy? And, you know, not that all makers are women, but 90 to 95% of the makers we encounter are women. So when you're looking at the power that makers have to like impact their community, you're looking at the power that women entrepreneurs have to impact their community.